Okay, welcome to part 2 of this tutorial series. And the last one we made the lights move around randomly. And now we're going to make a gate that is going to spawn the lights fast, and it's also going to kill them. So first of all, let's make the lights a bit smaller. Just go into light. You can just say scale, maybe make it to 0.2. That looks okay. And then here we're going to apply it to all the prefabs. Okay, you can delete it anyway. Now grab the sprite circle, drag it into the scene view, and that is going to be our gate. And the first component of our gate is going to be a script, which is going to be our light spawner. Light spawner. And since we're here, let's also make another script, which is just going to be called light. And that one goes onto our light, of course. And it's going to be our way to keep track of the light. You're going to see that right now when we open up the light spawn. Okay, in here, first of all, we need to know what we're actually going to spawn. So let's get the prefab. Let's make serialized field. Say private game object. Call it light prefab. We're going to assign that in the inspector. And we also would like to know how many lights we want. Once again, serialize it and make a private integer lights to spawn. Like so. And one more time. Yes. And a function that is going to do that. So let's say private void spawn. No, sorry. First of all, we're going to create the lights. And so we need a list to keep track of them, which is somewhat like an object pool, though it is not really an object pool because we don't need it. In my game version, the number of lights is always going to be the same. The ones that are cloning, they're simply overriding the worst ones. If you have a system where the lights that are cloning are creating new lights and then some are simply going to be eliminated, then you definitely want to be using an object pool. But for now, we don't need that in here. So let's just say we're making a list called let's use the script we just created. Actually, let's do that in here too. We're just going to refer to it right away by the light script, which we're going to add to our light. Okay, so private list one, we're going to need a list with active lights, and later on we're also going to need one with dead lights. And in here we're going to initialize the list of lights equals new list light, and we're going to have a for loop which is going to run as many lights as we want, lights to spawn. And then we're going to say first of all, let's make a local variable, call it new light, and then we're going to instantiate the light prefab. It's automatically going to realize, well, that light script is on a game object, so that's going to be our game object. The position is going to be the position of our gate, and then we're going to need quaternion, the rotation. Just use that. Okay, so that should instantiate our lights. Now let us open up the light script that we just created. And in here we are going to make a bit of a custom constructor. As you might know, if you use a constructor with mono behavior, it's going to get called twice, so you should not use that. But we just make a function which we're going to use as a constructor. We're just going to call it public void create. Let's say on creation. And we know that we're only going to create the lights through our light spawner. So the light spawner, when we create it, we're going to say new light dot on creation. We're going to call that. And for now, let's just use it to set the color. So the constructor is going to ask for a color, which we're going to call color. And then here we are saying get component sprite renderer dot color is the color that we're passing in. And now the light spawner needs an argument. And for this one, we're just going to get the sprite renderer. We're going to get the sprite renderer. Once again, get component. Now we're getting the sprite renderer. That is on our gate. And we're just getting that color, and we're going to pass that in, pass it to the light. And the light is then going to apply that color to its own sprite renderer. And now we also want to add it to our list of active lights dot add new light. And we also want to have them start moving. So there's two ways we could do that. One is we could say we have a reference in our light script to the light movement, which we need anyway. I think that's how I'm going to do it. The other way would be you just get in here and say, for example, new light dot get component light movement, and we're going to call the script start moving, which is probably private, yes, but it shouldn't be. So far we call it when we hit space. We don't need that anymore, because now we're going to call it from our gate. So make it public. Now the light spawner can call it. Actually, I said I was going to do the other way, but let's just do it this way now. It's going to get that component. It's going to hit start moving. Yeah. Later on, if we need that more often, we're going to store that in a variable as well, of course. But for now, that should work. So save all the scripts. Go in the editor and assign, first of all, the light needs the light script. Oh, no, we had that, sorry. And make sure it applies to all the prefabs of our light. The gate is going to need our light spawner script. And it also needs to know what a light prefab is. And since now the light prefab has the light script on it, we can just drag it in here. And lights to spawn, say 100. And yeah. Oh, sorry, the color is white. That is a bit boring. And it doesn't work anyway. 1 second. Oh yeah, we have to call that function. Yeah. And our light spawner, let's say void start create lights. That should work. And since we're in here already, let's give the gate a different color. You can choose whatever you want. It should take that color and pass it on to the light sprite renderer. Something not too ugly, just getting worse. Okay. And yeah. Let's go. 100 lights. getting spawned. Okay, and they all start moving randomly. And of course you can play around with it, make it 1,000. Should look pretty cool. Let's move that in the middle. Okay, now we are spawning 1,000 lights. Yeah. And of course now we need to have a timer that is going to kill our lights. So let's do that. I think we can just do it in the light spawner as well. It's the one that grants them. And then it's also the one that's going to kill them. So let us make a float to create the timer. We're going to, should we serialize them? Yes. Okay, serialize field. Make private float. One we're going to call lifetime. And the other one is going to be called the counter. So let's say here on awake, our counter is going to be equal to our lifetime. And in update, we're going to run that counter down by saying counter minus time.delta time, whatever time it took to do that frame. And if it is counter is now smaller or equal to 0, then it's time to die. So let's make a function called private void kill remaining lights. Oh, and by the way, when we create the lights, we should also initialize our dead lights list, just like we did the other one. New list light, and done. When the timer runs out, we are going to kill our remaining lights. So make a function called kill remaining lights. Call it when the timer ran out. And in here we are going to go through our active lights list and going to kill every light, which is going to be a function in the light script. Public void. We're going to call die. And that function is going to trigger another function in here, which is going to be public void light died. You might be wondering, why is the light spawner telling the light that it died, and then the light tells the light spawner that it died? And the reason is that this one is also going to be triggered from other places, such as running into an obstacle, and then the light spawner would like to know that too. And this way we're making sure that we keep track of it in one place and we're not going to spawn the lights accidentally twice or something. That's hopefully going to make a lot more sense once the scripts are in place. And okay, so when the light dies, first of all, it's going to ask for a parameter. It would like to know which light died. What's the died light? And so we're going to remove it from our active lights list. The died light. And we're going to add it to our dead lights list. And now, of course, the light needs to know. Oh, sorry, didn't trigger it. Okay, before we do that, let's finish the kill remaining lights. I just wanted to show you that when we kill it, it's getting removed from our active lights list. So we can't just loop through our active lights list, because you can't loop through a list that you're also manipulating when you're removing stuff. So we're going to make a list as a backup. and by list light, call it remaining lights. Well, I should be precise, by the way. Of course, you can loop through a list that you're manipulating, but you have to be really, really careful. And so remaining lights equals new list, and take the active lights. And this way we're making a shallow copy, meaning all we do is copy the values of active lights. If you say equal to active lights, then you just copy the reference to the actual list. And if you say remaining lights or active lights, wouldn't make any difference. This way it does, however. And so now we can safely loop through our list. So for each light in remaining lights, you know, to say light dot die. Okay, now the light is going to die, and it would like to tell the light spawner that it died. However, it has no clue who the light spawner is. For that, we're going to make a variable called private light spawner, my spawner. And in our custom constructor, we are going to ask for that by saying we need a light spawner, and call it spawn from, and also the color. And then we can just say, right here, as priority, say my spawner equals spawn from. And we're doing it this way because you might want to have multiple gates. So now every light still knows to which gate it belongs. And now we can say my spawner dot, kind of forgot what we called it, light died, okay. And we're going to pass in as an argument this script. Well, better yet, this script of this instance. And of course now the light spawner needs to pass itself as the first argument for the on creation. And again, we're just going to use this. Okay, so one more thing, we want to respawn the lights. The first one, we're actually instantiating the prefabs. Thing is, now we actually still have all those. Okay, also let's do one more thing. When we die, we want to say the game object the script is attached to, set active, false. And now we're going to respawn. First time we're going to create them. The second time we already have them. And they're all in our list of dead lights, hopefully. For each light in dead lights, we're going to say active lights dot add the light. And once we're done, we're just going to clear the dead lights list like so. Now all we did, of course, is adding the active lights to our list. That doesn't do that much yet. We also need the light that it actually respawned. And for that, we have to go into our movement and trigger the start moving function. So once again, we could get the component right here, or we could, actually we should do that because we don't want to get the component every time we are running that loop, because that's a loop we're going to run a lot of times. So let's just access it through the light and say public light movement, call it movement, and we're just going to get that in awake. Let's put awake under that and say movement equals get component light movement. And so now we have that stored in a variable, and we can just say actually we could make that yeah, let's just keep it public. You could make that private and say everything that communicates with light movement has to go through light, but we just keep it public, so we can say active lights dot add and say lights dot movement dot start moving. And I think we should also make sure to set it active. Yes. Light dot GameObject dot set active. Make it true. And I'm thinking, yeah, no, that should work. Okay, let's save the script and hope it works. And here we're going to set the lifetime, say like 3 seconds. Let's just spawn 100 lights. And no, I forgot one thing, I'm pretty sure, which is that our position. Let's see in here. When we go to light, remember when we said we start, in the light movement, we're going to get the start position is going to be our transform position, which is no longer the case, because our start position is actually going to be set from our from our light spawner. That's the position we want. So in here on creation, we can say we already have the spawner, we're getting it. So we can say movement dot start position equals my spawner dot transform dot position. So now every time we are saying restart movement, we are setting it to that position. Two more things. First of all, we need to trigger our respawn function, and we also need to make sure that start moving is going to set it to back to our start position. Okay, shouldn't have deleted that here, sorry about that, but I think we're good to go now. So the gate, let's say 3 seconds, 1. Okay, so we're spawning 100 lights, lifetime is 3, meaning 3 seconds, and you see the counters running down, they're all dying and getting respawned. You might want to look at 1 or 2 in particular, try to see, they're repeating their path, and that is looking good. That's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, feedback, criticism, all appreciated, and please hit like and subscribe. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to sort the lights to see who got closest to the goal, which we're going to make too. And yeah, see you then.